Hello everyone, and welcome to the Prince Magnum channel, where hot rodding and romance do coexist. I'm your host, Prince Magnum. Welcome to Do-It-Yourself Budget Hot Rodding, and welcome to the episode about Project Spirit going from a manual powered car to an automatic. Now, I know there's some of you out there that thought that this was a great move, and then there's some of you out there that have honestly felt like this was a bad decision. Well, let's go ahead and talk for a moment about the decision that was made. Number one, we need to talk about the fact that the old 3-speed manual is getting really hard to get parts for. Now, there was some adaptions that we could have done, but by and large, those adaptions would have cost a little more money than I was willing to pay out. And the problem is also going to be the upkeep. Okay, in some way, shape, or form, we're going to run into problems with, replacing parts and things like that. So we had to look at an option where there was going to be parts available for many years to come. And the parts that are always going to be more available is going to be the ones for the automatics here in the United States. For those of you who live outside of the United States, usually it's going to be manual transmissions are going to be easier to get the parts for, as opposed to the automatics. Here in the United States, most of us don't drive stick anymore. A lot of people drive automatics, so that's where here in the American market, it's going to be easier to get the parts for the automatics. And as a matter of fact, even on the drag strip, a lot of guys have switched over to high performance automatics, or automatics that have been beefed up a great deal. So now that I've talked a little bit about that, one of the first things we got to talk about is Project Spirit she does actually drive a little bit different. One of the first things that I'm going to talk about is Project Spirit's emergency brake cable isn't there anymore. The cable is gone. It's been stretched and snapped years ago, long before this video, long before we ever got her. And because of that, driving her as a stick has been a problem. It's been a major problem. You had to, if you got somewhere, it had to be flat ground if you needed to leave her running or anything like that, or you had to keep a Scotch block handy. As a matter of fact, I still have right here the Scotch block that I kept because of having her as a manual car. Now I don't have to keep this handy. I can actually just put it inside with the rest of the tools or in the trunk, just in case. But I don't have to keep it up under the seat like I did before. One of the other things that's also kind of nice, I can leave her running now, warm up, and get ready for a cold day, because she's still a carbureted, vehicle. And being a carbureted vehicle, you have to kind of plan your cold morning starts. For those of you like me who live in cold, areas that get cold around the winter, carbureted vehicles, it takes a little bit for them to kind of really get up to operating temperature. With cars, say like Project Lena, when she's running as she should, it doesn't take super long for them to kind of, get things circulated and things like that. With these older ones, you got to take a little bit of time. You got to plan that stuff out. So now that I've said that, like I said, she even sounds a little bit different while running. She's a different vehicle altogether, almost. I will say that she drives a little bit differently too. The performance that was once there is not quite there the same way. And I'm going to give a reference real quick in just a moment, but the real fun of this is going to be taking her around the block. So let's go ahead, let's start up Spirit, let's take her around the block and let you guys kind of see, what's going on. So let's go ahead and do what we do. She starts a little bit differently. Alright, one of the first things that I'm going to say about starting up Project Spirit after all of this time, one of the first things that I'm going to talk about is I don't have to push in a clutch and disengage the shifter. That is nice to not have to worry about that. like anything else. We'll back her out and we'll take her around the block nice and easy. Like I said, she drives differently now. There you go. Just totally different car. Even sounds a little bit different. Now, when you go to get on her, she even acts a little bit different. On takeoff, she doesn't have that ground stomping power like she did before that would lay rubber. And I even noticed going through the gears, when you're just driving her, you know, kind of like this, it's not a big deal. When you get on her, there's a delay between the gears. Whereas before with the manual, you didn't get that. You had that straight up, you know, suck you back in your seat and that sort of thing.
Saving all my love for you. Wait forever if you want me to. Saving all my love for you. Wait forever if you want me to. Saving all
also understand that it's also the transmission is also shifts also operated by vacuum. Now, I'm not necessarily an engineering genius in this particular case, but I would say that there shouldn't be that much of a problem, when it comes to that. It shouldn't be that big of a deal because you can adjust that out a lot of times. So what we're thinking is probably the issue is that this is, your typical automatic transmission from the time. I totally overshot that spot. That's okay. We can back her up and adjust. Talking to the camera here. So this is very commonplace, for the transmissions of her time. And it was often thought of back then that the transmissions at the time, if you will, that was more of a luxury option. You didn't feel like shifting gears. There was a reason why we called manual transmissions back then standard, because that was what most cars came with in some way, shape, or form. They came with, manual transmission, and that was the standard. Today, automatics are more of the standard, and if you want the performance, you've got to go and get yourself manuals are more of a special option now for the performance enthusiast. So now that I've said all of that, what are the pros and the cons? I've kind of hinted at it. Obviously, the convenience factor. There is a serious convenience factor of having Project Spirit as an automatic. There's a lot of convenience to it, and not just that, but Project Lena is starting to fall into a state of disrepair, which is very commonplace for all of those cars. All cars go through it in some way, shape, or form. Spirit's gone through it. All cars do. It's just the nature of cars and trucks and vans, everything, in some way, shape, or form, you're just going to go through a series of breakdowns. So Project Lena is going to start seeing a shop. The convenience side of this is Princess Bay will feel a little bit more comfortable when she has to drive the old Spirit. So those are some of the great features about it. It is convenient. Now there is a downside, okay? And those of you who enjoy target shooting and enjoy target shooting with a pistol, more in particular, will get this right away. Automatics and manual transmissions are a lot like the handgun world for firearms. And let me explain. Those of you who enjoy target shooting, like I said, will get this right away. Revolvers and semi-automatic handguns. Everyone knows in the firearms community that a revolver right out of the box is extremely accurate. They know this. Okay, you don't have to do that much to it to get it to be accurate and reliable. That's just the way it is. It's technology that's well over 100 years old, and it continues to work just fine today. So well, in fact, that they will just update some stuff on the frame, and it continues to rock and roll. Well, with semi-automatic handguns, if you want them to be that accurate, you're going to spend some money. And if you want them to be that reliable, you're going to have to spend a lot of money. And always expect that when it comes to, revolvers and automatics in the firearms world, with the handguns, if you want them to be reliable, they're not going to be that accurate. If you want them to be extremely accurate, you're going to lose that reliability. Well, in the world of automotive, there's a little bit of that going around too. Manuals, right out of the gate, your manual transmissions, you don't have to do that much to get the performance that you want. You can spend some money on it, but it's not necessary. It gets the power to the pavement very efficiently. With automatics, if you want them to perform like a manual, get ready to spend some cash. Now that I've said that, let's take a look at some of the different things that you're going to see in Project Spirit to get some of what we're looking for in a car that can kind of do a little bit of everything, be a daily driver, and lay down and have fun. Alright, you're looking at a transmission cooler, and this is kind of an off-the-shelf one that Napa Auto Parts keeps. Our friends at Torque Diesel and Auto hooked it up, and it does an amazing job of keeping the transmission cool. So this is one of the first things that had to happen for Project Spirit to basically be reliable as far as an automatic goes, and to start getting into that performance aspect. Now, there are other things that we're going to have to do along the way, and all of this is going to equate to when we go to drop in a V8, that V8 will be able to easily get power to the pavement, and it'll still be easily daily driven, and it'll be halfway decent on gas. And yes, you can have V8s that are decent on gas. More on that in another video down the road when we start looking into the gray area of the performance car world, known as the mid-performance and low-performance V8s. Yes, that is a thing. Most people forget it. We will talk about that later on. So, that does bring us to a good stopping point in this video. If you enjoyed this, if you learned a few things about the automotive world from the old days, and you want to see more content like this, be sure to smash that like button and make sure YouTube knows. Share it out to all your friends. Along with that, if you're not subscribed to the Prince Magnum channel, you might want to do so. We try to upload content like this fairly regularly. And along with that, as I like to say at the end of my videos, get out there and work on a project. I don't care what it is, just do something with yourself. Remember, idle hands and a creative mind go together like oil and water. If you have a sweetheart, sweep them off their feet and do something special for them today. And as always, for all of you out there, if no one out there has told any of you that they love you today, Prince Magnum does. God bless you, and have a happy 24. Thank you. Nothing like a little Zelda time.